Hi, Floppers. Before we start this episode, I just wanted to remind you we are in the middle of Flop TV Season 2. That's right, the 1-hour internet televised Flophouse TV show is here for you the first Saturday of every month through February. Just go to theflophouse.simpletix.com and get your tickets or season pass for this all-new Flophouse TV stuff. We're covering movies we've never covered before. We've got video segments. It's amazing. Just go to theflophouse.simpletix.com for Flop TV Season 2. This time, it's personal.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to a Flophouse Mini. Of course, as you know, normally this is a podcast where we watch a bad movie and then we talk about it. But on the weeks in between those weeks, we just kind of do whatever in these Flophouse Minis. Now, for this one, Elliott couldn't be here.
What?
Has some important business on the moon or something. I don't know what he's got, I don't know. Some other funny thing.
Some other business on the moon.
Sampling cheese. He could not be here. So this is a rare occasion. It's just the two of us.
Oh, wow.
Me, Dan McCoy, and you.
Stuart Wellington.
And because we don't usually have this intimate one-on-one time.
That's true, yeah.
I thought, what better time to get to know my old friend Stuart.
Oh, wow.
In a segment I call Getting to Know Stu, Getting to Know All About Stu.
Because normally when we spend time together, it's usually at a movie, and we're not allowed to talk.
Yeah, or it's afterwards where we're mostly talking about the movie we saw.
That's true, yeah.
Describing a lot of male friendships here. It's funny, though, because it's funny you bring up movies, because this is primarily a movie podcast, although...
That's true.
Although I'm getting to know you with some questions, all the questions I'm going to ask you today actually are famous movie quotes that are questions.
Wow. Okay.
A little extra wrinkle. So to begin in this getting to know you segment.
Getting to know Stu segment.
Yeah, getting to know Stu. Stuart, you talking to me? You talking to me?
Yeah, I mean, there's no one else here, so I must be talking to you.
Yeah. There's two microphones, one for each of us.
Yeah, yep. That's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to Dan McCoy, everybody.
Thank you.
And you, the listeners.
For identifying me. Second question I'd like to ask you, what's up, Doc?
I've been thinking about that a lot, Dan. What's up, Doc? The thing is that it's weird because I don't think I've ever asked an actual doctor that question. And I feel like that's the sort of thing that, like, they probably get asked all the time. Like, everybody, like, whenever the doctor comes into the waiting room or the examination room, how many dads are like, what's up, Doc?
Yeah. I mean, certainly if a dad has a child who becomes a doctor, that's a gold mine.
Oh my God. Yeah. Not only do they get all the bragging rights at their, I don't know, fantasy baseball league.
Canasta game.
Yep. A lot of
these are elderly parents.
Yeah. A lot of baby boomer parents are playing canasta until their hearts collapse under a weight of red meat and a lifetime of cognac and red meat consumption.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not sure we got an answer to what's up, Doc, but we
did our best, yeah.
Move along. Okay. Well, I got another question for you, Stuart.
Uh-huh.
Why so serious?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, Dan, have you been paying attention to the news lately?
I've been trying
actively not to. Yeah, that's arguably the healthier option right now.
Shutting down.
I would also say part of the reason why I'm so serious is because I'm the eldest of two sons. I'm the more responsible of two brothers. I was a soccer goalkeeper. That was the position, and I played a fairly high level up until college.
You're saying that's a position of responsibility.
It's a position of responsibility because I'm responsible. If the other team scores, no matter what, I still feel like it was my fault.
Yeah.
So to give you, so I've always been one to volunteer and take responsibility for things and then feel bad about things.
So you think you've internalized that sort of soccer goalkeeper mentality over the years?
Like it's almost like life is the ball, and I'm trying to keep life from. Wait, now let me change
Now,
that.
hold on.
Something bad is the ball, and
Uh-huh.
life is the net, the goal.
I'm not sure about that because I heard that life is like a box of chocolates. And I don't think it can be two things.
Is that one of your later questions, or is that just
No,
that just a quotable you
That's a
pulled out of
notable
thin air? Yeah.
quotable. I've noted it and I quoted it.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's good to know. Here's an actual incisive question here. If you work for a living, why do you kill yourself working?
Oh man, what movie is that from?
That's from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, that's I assumed it was like Empire Records or some shit. Oh, so
You work for a living. Why do you kill yourself working?
I mean,
If
that's
you work for a living, why do you kill yourself working?
Oh, I think the emphasis really helped on that
Yeah.
one. Thank you. And the facial expression. I would say, for me, Stuart, why, if I work for a living, the thing is that I am in the rarefied position to get to do kind of the job that I want and be my own boss, which not a lot of people are lucky enough to do. And so, at least if I'm killing myself working, I'm like doing a job that I like, or jobs that I like for the most part. Um, and it's for myself. So at least like, I don't know, like I'm not working to enrich someone else.
Yeah. And now I don't want to depress anyone. This is admittedly, it's a good idea, this premise, but it can get a little thin. So I will ask a few follow-up questions that are not actually movie quotes.
I mean, if all your follow-up questions were movie quotes, I would be fucking very impressed.
Yeah. Do you like that you do a thing that I mean, like, obviously it's better to do a thing that you enjoy than to not do a thing you enjoyed. But on the other hand, I have found that one problem with doing something you love is you slowly stop loving the thing that you're doing.
That's
because it's work.
I mean, that's a good point. Like, I try to keep a couple of my hobbies somewhat separate. But the big thing is that I know that no matter what, I have a tendency to take the job I have seriously, and I would, as I said before, I am likely to volunteer for responsibility. And that with that responsibility comes like taking your work home with you. And I feel like if I was doing something that I didn't like, I would be taking a shitty thing home with me.
Yeah.
And I would be stressed out about it all the time. For no good reason. At least when I'm stressed out about things, I can be like, well, I'm stressed out for a good reason.
No, it's true. Of the choices, it's better. I think there's part of me that the longer I do stuff like this, I forget how miserable I was doing other stuff. And I romanticize the idea of like, well, what if I had a job I didn't have to care about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, right? Like, it's similar to like like thinking back, like, oh man, I wish I could go back to a time where I had more time to like hang out with my buddies and play role-playing games all night. But the thing is that I didn't have any responsibilities then.
Yeah.
And I like having those. I like having things. I like having people to rely on me. I like having, I like feeling like I'm supporting people, and that I'm helping people. Yeah, so that's the thing is, Dan, we do make jokes about the fact that you won't enjoy a job that you hate, and you also you'll be sad when you get a job you love.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, and maybe this doesn't apply, but it's a subtitle for this whole episode.
Yeah.
Maybe this doesn't apply, but have you checked the children?
I mean, I'm pretty hip, although I feel like I'm reaching the stage where I don't, by check the children, you mean, am I staying up with the younger generation?
Let's say that because, there's no
As a man with no children and
Yeah.
no intention to breed or bring children into this dying planet, not to get too heavy. But the younger generation, I mean, I was a little bit there. This recent election was a little bit of a wake up call. I didn't quite realize how generally conservative, or how that there is a conservative streak amongst the younger generation. I feel like
There's a lot of media out there designed to radicalize people, I think.
I think you're right. You're correct. I'm not trying to. I think I had this like weird optimism that like everybody younger than me is going to be like trying to push for a better world as opposed to not. But have I don't know. I think more and more I hear music and I'm like, who the fuck is this? Why am I supposed to know who this famous person is? Why is this person famous?
I was going to bring this up because I thought it was very funny recently how like the degree to which you seemed angry, not at the person at all, but like angry like at the world of like, wait, am I supposed to know who Chapel Roan is? Like the thing is like as Audrey and I told you, like she became famous extremely fast. She like became famous literally within the course of her tour and then had to, had problems dealing with it that I respect, like there's like but it was very funny to me. I'm like, well, Stuart's hitting it.
I'm hitting the old. The part of it is, I think part of it is that a lot of the time, like it's because a lot of the way that I encounter these things, a lot of the way that the information gets to me is through a platform like Twitter. So I mean, I'm seeing the like stan culture, and there's I feel like there's a disconnect in my brain because all of a sudden the only thing I'm hearing about a person are people who are huge, like wild fans of them. And I'm like, oh, wow, this must be something. This must be like a cultural force that I could never even comprehend. And then when I experience them, I'm like, oh yeah, it's a pop star. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm no real critical complaint here. I'm just like, and yeah, a lot of times it feels like it's things that are happening very fast. Also, or like I just saw the ad for like the Country Music Awards, and I'm just hearing names, and I'm like, I've heard of none of these people.
No, that's
it's almost like a fucking bit for me at this point, where I'm like, and that's not a critique of them; it's a critique. I'm like, wow, I've heard none of these names. These all could be made up. This all could be a joke.
I mean, like this is sort of topical to the month we're recording in November, but it's a fun thing that I think happens for me every year with the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, where I'm when they list the names up top, I'm like, okay.
I mean,
do I not know these because they're like so new and hot, or do I not know these because these are the people that the weird grab bag of people that the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade gets? Like some of whom
it's Snoopy, Dan. You know who Snoopy is.
Oh, you mean Joe Cool?
Whoa, they let Joe Cool be in the parade?
I know. Let's see. Okay, well, here's a question for you.
Okay, yeah. Shoot.
What's the most you've ever lost on a coin toss?
That's actually a question I'm gonna have to look at. I feel like I don't
keep records.
I do. Yeah. I have a little binder. I'm trying to think if I've never been much of a gambler. Have you been a gambler? Do you?
No, I find it stressful and upsetting. The idea of doing. I mean, like if I did win, I know that like I would probably then become too into it and lose more than I want. Like the only gambling I've ever done is like there've been a couple times I've been to Vegas and I did what like people said, which is like set aside like this is a certain amount that you are absolutely willing to lose, and that it's just a tax you're paying to the idea of doing some gambling while you're in Vegas, and then stop. And it's not.
Yeah, but what about those NFTs you invested in?
Well, those, Stuart, that's not a gamble. Those are just appreciated.
You're more of like
value.
and you're more of an art collector. Yeah, I feel like when it comes to, first off, I have to say, like, of all the addictions out there, I feel like for some reason I find like gambling addictions to be the worst.
Well, I mean, it's certainly one of the quicker ways to ruin your. I mean, like alcoholism obviously is bad, but it'll take a while. Whereas gambling,
and what a ride,
very quickly. It's not one that I've like. There's like upsides to other addictions that I don't quite understand with gambling.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I just haven't gotten the rush.
Yeah.
When it comes to gambling, I like the activity based stuff, but I'm not I don't know if like I'm not not really a card player, unless it's got like fantasy characters on the cards. I'm not a slot machine person. I like craps because it's like an activity where like everybody's standing around the table, like shouting.
Well, and you probably wouldn't bet on a coin toss because it lacks a certain verve as a game.
That's true. Again, like unless those coins like look really cool or there's like they have like characters involved.
Yeah.
But that's like a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure type character.
Well, here's a good question for you, Stuart.
Yeah,
let's really dig into
Fire
it.
away.
Let's dig into the deep stuff. I want to ask you, who are you going to call?
I mean, on Sundays, I call my parents.
Okay.
Setting up a weekly phone call with them has been very good for the structure of our relationship. Outside of that, not a lot of people. I don't like to make phone calls. I feel like that's, do you remember like when I was like a teenager up through like 20 or so, which is, I guess, a definition of teenager. I would call my friends all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And now if one of my friends called me, I'm like, who died?
Yeah. Other than my parents, I would say that the last time I spent a long time on a phone call with anyone, and I'm going to sound very old because I'm going to use the word courting, was when Audrey and I were courting.
Yeah.
But like, I was away during Christmas back home. We had just gotten together. That was the last time there was an extended phone call to anyone who was not my folks, I think.
Yeah. Unless you count like Zoom calls for the podcast, which I don't.
I mean, I guess this podcast is kind of a phone call to all of you listeners out there.
I guess.
One-sided. It's more like you have like the wires have crossed and you're listening in on someone else's
like a frequency
call.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you. And, I'm a little concerned.
Sure.
What is your major malfunction, numbnuts?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's fair. I mean, numbnuts, that's a classic put down, and it's one that it's a title that I wear with certain fatalistic pride.
You keep your nuts really numb.
I keep them numb. It's because my underpants are too constricting and it cuts off the circulation. So what is my major malfunction? Let's see. I would say my major malfunction is that I just care too much.
Okay. I mean, you've got the job, Stuart. You're already my co-host. You don't need to.
Yeah, okay. I'm just like, I take my work home with me and like.
It's too cool.
Yeah, I'm too cool. Like, I'm too professional sometimes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, maybe we'll revisit that in the future. Just one more question before we take a brief break, of course. And that question is, what's in the box?
What's in the box? I would say hope.
Oh, the thing with feathers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a little break for sponsors, for some Flophouse business, and we'll be right back.
All right, we're over 70 episodes into our show. Let's learn everything. So let's do a quick progress check. Have we learned about quantum physics?
Yes, episode 59.
We haven't learned about the history of gossip yet, have we?
Yes, we have. Same episode, actually.
Have we talked to Tom Scott about his love of roller coasters?
Episode 64.
So how close are we to learning everything?
Bad news. We still haven't learned everything yet.
We're ruined!
No. It's good news as well. There is still a lot to learn.
Woo!
I'm Dr. Ella Hubber.
I'm regular Tom Lum.
I'm Caroline Roper, and on Let's Learn Everything, we learn about science and a bit of everything else too.
And although we haven't learned everything yet, I've got a pretty good feeling about this next episode.
Join us every other Thursday on Maximum Fun.
People say not to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
Which is why here on Just the Zoo of Us, we judge them by so much more.
We rate animals out of 10 in the categories of effectiveness, ingenuity, and aesthetics, taking into consideration each animal's true strengths, like a pigeon's ability to tell a Monet from a Picasso, or a polar bear's ability to play basketball.
Guest experts like biologists, ecologists, and more join us to share their unique insight into the animal's world.
Listen with friends and family of all ages on MaximumFun.org or wherever you get podcasts.
The Flophouse is sponsored in part by Aura Frames. Let's be honest. What most people really want from the holidays is to see their favorite people more often. Fa on these commercial goods, they say. My favorite people more often. That's why this year, the best gift you can give, besides plane tickets, is an Aura digital picture frame, which was named the #1 digital photo frame by Wirecutter, which, in a ranked list, is the finest ranking. Aura frames are incredibly smart and easy to use, allowing you to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. Plus, you can order the frame online and preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app, so it's ready to go right out of the box. You know, my family has a text chain. Actually, it's a messenger chain. I sent them a lot of photos of our, what do you call it? A vacation. That's what we did. We had a little vacation. I sent my parents photos on there because I know that they don't check Instagram, and they were delighted to see them. But are they going to go back and check those photos again to see their loved ones having fun out there in the world? No. But if you put them in an Aura digital frame, then they're there. They'll pop up. They'll look over. They'll smile. It's the perfect way to share your life with family when you're away from your family. So save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code FLOP, FLOP, at checkout. That's AURA frames.com, promo code FLOP. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. And now, some Flophouse-specific plugs. We're going to be back in San Francisco for San Francisco Sketch Fest in January, which is going to be just a little more than a month away as you hear this. We'll be there on Sunday, January 19, 2025, performing at Cobb's Comedy Club at 7 p.m. And breaking news, we've decided on the film. We'll be discussing Cutthroat Island, the legendary flop that killed pirate movies until Pirates of the Caribbean briefly revived them before killing them again brutally. So if you want tickets to see us do our usual hilarious presentations, hilarious, guys, hilarious. It's right here in what I wrote down, so it must be true. The presentations are hilarious. And talk about Cutthroat Island, go to sfsketchfest.com for tickets. And meanwhile, if you don't like leaving the comfort of your home, you can still see us, quote unquote, live on Flop TV. The next live stream will be on January the 4th when we discuss Ski School 2 at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern, appropriate for the season. Winter, we'll be talking skiing, the bane of my knee. Tickets at theflophouse.simpletix.com. But season pass holders can watch all of the previous shows on demand until the end of February. The most recent one we did was about Highlander 2. We had some tech issues live, but those have been edited out of the replay for smooth viewing. Apologies to those who were live. Thanks for sticking with us to see the unhinged special report that I contributed. Tickets again at theflophouse.simpletix.com, where they are $7 per show, or get a season pass with a price break, pay only $35 for all 6 shows. And one last thing, while I've got you, please go to flophousepodcast.com to sign up for our newsletter, Flop Secrets, which is the best way to keep up on all of our appearances and projects and to get extra content that's just for fun. In the most recent one, I gave my plane report. It has become established Flophouse lore, thanks to the ribbing of my co-hosts, that my favorite way to watch movies is on a plane. And thus, in honor of that, I was on a plane recently. I thought it would be fun to give a full rundown and review of the media I consumed. And that is the sort of useless, hopefully mildly amusing nonsense you can get in the Flop Secrets newsletter, along with useful nonsense about our projects. So again, go to flophousepodcast.com, plug your email into the field that says newsletter, and enjoy getting something extra delivered to your inbox twice a month. Now, back to my intimate one-on-one with Stuart Wellington. And we're back. We're, of course, getting to know Stu,
That's me.
getting to know all about Stu
Still me.
with some movie-based questions,
Sure.
some icebreakers, cold from the movies. And here's a question I want
This is a real Homicides the Box episode.
Oh, that's what's in the box.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here's a question for you. Judge me by my size, do you?
That's true. I mean, I don't think that's true, Dan. I don't judge you by your size. I like your size.
Okay.
I guess that's a judgment. So no, I would say no, I don't. And in fact, I am disappointed that you would suggest that I would.
Not even because I don't lift? You don't judge me by my size?
No, not everyone lifts.
It's not the life for everybody.
It's lifting weights is an activity that I like. It is a activity that also messes with my body dysmorphia because as I get bigger in the like chest and shoulders, shirts don't fit, and I'm like, oh no, am I gaining weight? Or when I had to change my style of pants because my thighs had gotten too big from squatting and deadlifting. But so no, I don't judge people by their size.
I mean, look, I know it's a psychological issue. I can't just tell you not to do that, but
thank you.
But don't worry about it, man. Here's a question.
Oh wait, I just should not worry about it.
Yeah. I fixed it.
Oh
right?
wow, yeah. I've never considered I could just stop worrying about it.
Look, it's an expression of concern and affection. Here's a question for you. And there's a corollary question. First off, you want the truth? Here's a corollary follow-up. Do you think you can handle the truth?
Well, I think that's ultimately the thing. You know what? I think I can handle the truth, and I sometimes avoid it because, it's not always easy to deal with harsh realities sometimes, certainly these days. But I feel like everyone can kind of handle the truth despite that. Like, I feel like as much as we might want to avoid it or certainly might want to soften things when talking to somebody, I think we have a tendency to underestimate people's ability to handle difficult information.
They can handle it. I would say that people are built a lot of the times, unfortunately, to try and avoid the truth.
Yeah.
But I think that here's a bit of vaguely Eastern philosophy.
Sure. Okay. You learned this at yoga.
I think pain is caused by struggle.
Uh-huh.
I think it's better to accept the truth, to steer into the truth, than to try and push it away, because it's going to cause more trouble.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Here's a question.
Okay.
What?
Oh man, I got the Quizler on my hands.
Here's a question. What is it that gives me joy?
What is it that gives you joy? I would say some routine. I would say space to practice things that you are good at. I would say people who support you and make an effort to show you that you're meaningful to them. Yeah, I think that's a good start.
Stuart, this is a really dumb, thin idea that I came up with, and yet, like, you're gonna make me cry because I'm like, you know what? That's pretty incisive. Did a good job.
Oh, bless you.
Here's a question: who's the fairest one of all?
It's probably me.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'm the one with the most in-depth skincare routine, I think.
Sure.
I have, I spend a lot of money on my hair.
I'm staring at this question. I'm like thinking about the the upsetting sort of racial implications of Snow White.
Yes.
Snow White, and she's the fairest one of all. She's not the prettiest one of all.
Yeah.
It is the fairness of her skin that makes her desirable.
Yeah, that's true.
It's upsetting.
Yeah, and my skin is fair because I sleep during the day and go out at night as a bartender.
And what's fair is foul, and foul is fair.
Oh, wow. You got me there, Dan. Finally got me.
This ain't your old school.
Okay, lock me up.
Here's an important question.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it's important because it starts Archie's rubbing his face all over your empty Kind bar wrapper.
Yeah, he's like 8 grams of protein. I'll be the judge of that.
This is an important question because it starts with a plea to ask yourself a question.
Yep.
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Well, I mean, I don't like being called a punk. Do I feel lucky? I mean, yeah, I do. I do feel lucky. I have a lot of people in my life that love me, and I feel supported, and I get to do the job that I like to do, and I'm lucky enough to have an audience, some of whom have already turned off this episode, but that's fine.
They're Elliott fans.
They're Elliott fans, yeah. They're like, I want to hear movies. I don't want to hear this guy talk about his life. But I feel lucky, and you know what? I can handle being called a punk now and then.
All right. So here's the next one is could you describe the ruckus, sir?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. How would I describe?
How would you describe?
How would
the
I
ruckus?
describe the ruckus? Well, there would be hooting and hollering, of course.
Mhm.
There would be pots clanging. There would be glass breaking, maybe chains rattling.
Ooh, spooky.
Floorboards creaking. Let's see. How else would I describe it? Wind whistling.
Are you sure this isn't just a Halloween sound effects LP you're
A
describing?
witch cackling.
Okay. Bubbling brew.
Oh yeah, bubble. That's the craziest scary sound.
Ooh, what's cooking? Is it me?
My fucking tea's ready.
This question is a sort of a biological sort of query.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
That's actually a really good question. What happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning? I'd imagine something very unique and different than when something else gets struck by lightning. But I don't remember the exact answer. Maybe we'll have to turn on, what is that, X-Men? Have to ask Storm for that one?
X-Men. You know, I read that apparently that was supposed to be, among other things, there's been some talk of like, well, did you deliver it the best way for like that kind of, but among other things, apparently was supposed to be the end of a runner of like Toad was supposed to say a bunch of stuff like, you know what happens when a toad does this? And then that was like the punchline. And then all the setups got cut.
No, that's too bad. Was Ray, Ray Park?
Ray Park.
I don't think he has any lines in that movie, huh?
Maybe. I can't remember that. I don't remember the first X-Men well. I don't think I've
They
seen
didn't
it
get
since
Peter
back in the day.
Serafinowicz to dub in all his lines.
Here's a question that's actually, this is sort of interesting because it's
Wait, where did you hear that news? Is there like a X-Men newsletter?
yeah, I have a Google alert for Toad and Lightning. No, in the course.
Was that like one of those like grocery store aisle like memorial issue X-Men the movie, all the facts? Where are they now?
I cannot speak to the veracity or the opposite of this factoid. Like this is a factoid in the original sense of the word, which is a fact that may or may not be true. Like
yeah, listeners, write in. Tell us if this is true.
In the course of looking around for questions for this episode, I came across that.
Okay.
So this question is actually interesting because it's phrased in the negative.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Are you not entertained?
No, I'm enjoying this process. I think this works.
Okay.
Wait, I think that's. Did I double negative it?
Well, it's good because I am intaking you for Scientology. This is next to the Scientology.
No! That actually would, that would make sense.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go
not
back
good.
And,
but amazing.
go back and change all those.
Okay, so you are entertained. That's good to.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Okay, well, I do have one final question before we close up the old movie question bag, and that is, I'm funny how? Funny like a clown? I amuse you. I make you laugh. I'm here to fucking amuse you.
Yeah, so I would say you're not funny like a clown.
Okay.
Certainly not in the traditional sense. I haven't seen you do any pratfalls or
Mime.
You don't do mime. You don't do a lot of sight gags.
No.
Although you can do some pretty solid reactions. I mean, I think Dan, you amuse me as all the great straight men do. You set yourself up to be made fun of. You get upset when people call you out on things. You have big reactions, which is why it's fun to get you wound up. So that's what amuses me. That you have enough quirks that you are a genuine character, but you also seem like a somewhat serious guy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, I appreciate the assessment. It's good to hear something about strengths. I mean, it's not necessarily like areas of improvement. I don't need to hear that.
No, if you want, I can give you a shit sandwich.
I don't care to.
I gave former host of the podcast. This is Stuart setting himself up to get hate mail. But years ago, former host of the podcast, Simon Fisher, worked for me when I worked at a hobby store. I was a much younger man back then.
Yeah.
And we had to do an employee review. And we had to do I was trained to do like a shit sandwich style review. And he filled out his form and we were kind of going over it together. And he was taking it very seriously, which I found to be incredibly funny. And it was like, we talked about his strengths and he was a very good employee. And then when it came to, I'm like, okay, so let's talk about areas of improvement. And I could see him like racking his brain, like really thinking about it. And I'm like, how about baldness? Because he had been like losing his hair and nobody had said anything. And I think I was the first person to make a joke about it. And he got so offended.
I mean, it is inappropriate for a work relationship.
Yes, I mean, we were friends before we were.
I know.
I mean, in no way am I defending myself. I'm the villain in this story. But it was very. To this day, I'm still like, man, that was a good mean joke I made. It was so mean, in fact, that like friends from home called me up the next day to like lambaste me for like making that joke, which I deserved.
Well, I hope this has been an enjoyable episode for, I don't know, those of you out there who are like mean to Elliott on the internet for some reason. But I hope that the people who love Elliott, forgave this episode. I
mean, and people who love Elliott, if anything, will listen to this episode and be like, yeah, that's why they have an Elliott.
Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, we've I think gotten a lot of good data. I'll feed this into the Clubhouse computer.
The AI algorithm that just sucked all this up.
Eventually, we'll be able to simulate a Stuart.
Easy.
Be enjoyed for future generations. But until that time comes, I'd like to thank Alex Smith, our producer. He goes by the name Howell Doughty on the internet. He has his work cut out for him to like maybe zazz up this episode a little bit.
Yeah, he's going to do a lot of farts and zinger sound effects.
Yeah, some boings.
Get that soundboard out.
And I'd like to thank our podcast network, Maximum Fun. If you go to MaximumFun.org, you can listen to a lot of great shows. They have them there. You can check them out. If you like the show, you'll probably like something else. Yeah. You like podcasts.
You like stuff.
But until next time, I've been Dan McCoy.
I've been Stuart Wellington.
Bye.
Bye.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported
Directly
by you.